Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokan here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. We've got a thrilling lineup of today's NBA games, and I'm ready to dive deep with our predictions and insider tips. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just getting into the game, today's episode is tailored just for you. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams.
Merry Christmas from Tips and Streams. To all my amazing viewers, thank you for tuning in, supporting, and sharing your love for NBA predictions this year. Your passion for the game and your encouragement mean the world to me. Wishing you and your loved ones a joyous holiday season filled with laughter, warmth, and plenty of hoops action. Here's to an even better year ahead, with more winning predictions and exciting games to enjoy together. Stay blessed, stay passionate, and see you courtside in 2025. Today, we have predictions for 5 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the San Antonio Spurs and New York Knicks. Christmas basketball just hits differently, doesn't it? This year, we're kicking off the day with a spicy matchup, the Spurs rolling into the Garden to face the Knicks. Forget the NFL for a second. Christmas is all about the NBA, and this opener is setting the tone for the festivities. Let's talk about these Spurs. They've been a roller coaster, but one thing's clear. Victor Wembanyama is the real deal. This kid has completely shifted the vibe in San Antonio. The Spurs are actually sitting in a play-in spot right now. Can you believe it? They've got a winning record heading into Christmas for the first time in years, and it's all thanks to Wemby. The guy's been a monster, and he's had success against New York in the past, averaging 27 points and 14.5 boards when he's seen them. He's got the length, the finesse, and the defensive instincts to make life tough for anyone. San Antonio isn't just Wemby, though. Devin Vassal's been stepping up, even if his history against the Knicks hasn't been stellar. And let's not forget Jeremy Sochin, who's been showing serious improvement this season, especially with his shooting. The Spurs also have depth. 7 players averaging double figures is nothing to sneeze at. Their defense has been sneaky good too, ranking second in blocked shots, which is why they've stayed competitive. But if they want to keep up with the Knicks, they've got to tighten up their perimeter defense. That's been a soft spot all month. Now, the Knicks. Man, they're cooking. After a rocky start, they've found their groove, rattling off 4 straight wins and covers. Jalen Brunson's been a steady hand, orchestrating the offense, but let's not overlook Karl Anthony Towns. KT's been a matchup nightmare, and with Mikal Bridges settling in as the ultimate two-way player, this team is starting to look dangerous. Bridges can score, defend, and do all the little things that don't show up in the box score. It's a luxury to have him as your third option. New York's defense has turned a corner this month too. They're locking down the paint and closing out on shooters better than they did earlier in the season. Rebounding? Top-notch, especially with Precious Achiuwa back in the mix. That's going to be huge against a Spurs team that struggles on the glass. But the Knicks do have one Achilles heel. They're not great at defending the corner 3. If Julian Champagny gets hot, he could make things interesting for San Antonio. Here's the thing, though. The Knicks are just firing on all cylinders right now. They've been torching the Nets, dropping over 130 points in 2 of their last 3 games. Even when they faced the Timberwolves, one of the league's best defenses, they had no problem lighting them up. That doesn't bode well for the Spurs, whose defense has been shaky outside of blocking shots. If Towns can draw Wembanyama out to the perimeter, it's going to open up so many lanes for Brunson and company to attack the paint. For the Spurs to have a shot, they've got to push the pace and keep the ball moving. They're the best in the league in assisted scoring percentage, and that's their ticket to staying competitive. But if the Knicks can slow them down and control the boards, it's curtains. The Garden crowd on Christmas morning? That energy alone is going to be a problem for a young Spurs squad. Honestly, as much as I respect what the Spurs are building, this one feels like the Knicks game to lose. They've got too much firepower, too much experience, and the kind of momentum that's hard to bet against. I'm taking the Knicks to win and cover that 9-point spread. This team is figuring things out, and on a stage like Christmas Day, I'm confident they'll deliver in style.
Bienvenido a B2S, Casa de Apuestas y Casino, tu centro definitivo para apuestas deportivas seguras y emocionantes, y juegos de casino. B2S es una de las casas de apuestas en línea más antiguas y fiables en los EU, sirviendo a millones de clientes en todo el mundo cada mes. B2S, confiado por más de 30 años, ofrece grandes bonos de bienvenida, innumerables opciones de apuestas y muchos métodos de depósito y retiro. Depositar fondos es fácil y seguro, con un depósito mínimo de solo $10. Los pagos son rápidos y sin complicaciones, comenzando desde solo $50. Elige entre varias opciones de pago como MoneyGram, cheque por mensajería, criptomoneda o transferencia bancaria. Registrarse es rápido y sencillo. Para registrarte, puedes usar el enlace en la descripción y disfrutar de un generoso bono de bienvenida del 125% hasta $3,000. Al registrarte usando el enlace en la descripción, también nos apoyarás ya que ganamos una pequeña comisión por tu registro en B2S. Gracias por apoyarnos. Únete ahora y empieza a ganar.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Dallas Mavericks. Alright, so here we go with the Mavericks and Timberwolves set to clash on Christmas Day, a matchup that's shaping up to be a holiday thriller. Historically, Dallas has had Minnesota's number, leading the head-to-head 78-59. And let's not forget their recent meeting on October 29th, where the Mavs took a 120-114 victory at the Target Center. Both teams come into this one with plenty to prove, but they're heading down very different paths this season. Now, let's talk about the Wolves. Man, they're in a tough spot right now. They've gone from being legit threats last season to barely keeping their heads above water, sitting in the play-in mix. Anthony Edwards has been straight up carrying the squad, but you can tell he's frustrated. He's been vocal about the lack of help around him and Julius Randle, who they brought in from the Knicks in that big off-season trade. The duo is doing their part, but the rest of the roster? It's been hit or miss, and that inconsistency is killing them. Edwards, though, has been a bright spot. He's kept his numbers solid while stepping up his three-point shooting. As for Randle, he's been solid too, maybe not quite at his Knicks level, but still putting in work with scoring and on the boards. The problem? The rest of the Wolves aren't pulling their weight. They're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, and their shooting, let's just say it's been shaky at best. If they want a shot at this one, Edwards and Randle need to keep doing their thing, but they'll also need the rest of the squad to wake up and help out. Winning the rebounding battle and protecting the rim are absolute musts. On the flip side, the Mavericks are in a groove this season. They're sitting pretty at 19-10, looking like real contenders in the West. And it's a big, but Luka Doncic's heel injury is a serious concern. Without him, this team is a completely different animal. Luka is their heartbeat, and if he's out or limited, the Mavs are gonna need some serious stepping up from their other stars. Kyrie Irving, for one, needs to find his rhythm again. He's been struggling since coming back from injury, and that 6-for-25 shooting performance against the Clippers? Yikes. Klay Thompson has had his ups and downs too, but he's still a guy who can go off any night. The good news for Dallas is that they've got depth. Guys like T.J. Washington Jr., Daniel Gafford, and Najee Marshall have been solid, helping them become a top 10 shooting team in the league. On the boards, they've been a force, ranking in the top 5, which could be a game changer against Minnesota. This matchup is all about dynamics. Minnesota's defense has been one of the best, ranking 6th in the league, and they know how to make things tough for opponents. The Mavs, even as 6-point favorites, haven't exactly blown out teams with elite defenses. In fact, in 7 games against top 5 defensive squads, they've only won by more than 5 points twice. That stat alone makes this game feel like it's gonna be tighter than people think. One area where the Wolves could find some success? Exploiting Dallas' struggles against bigs. The Mavs are allowing 24.2 points per game to centers, one of the worst marks in the league. That's a green light for Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid to go to work in the paint. But for Minnesota to really make this interesting, they'll need to limit turnovers, create clean looks through sharp ball movement, and crash the boards as their season depends on it. Now, here's where it gets fun. Christmas games are always wild cards. The bright lights, the national spotlight, some players thrive in it. Edwards feels like a guy who could step up big here, even though he's had some rough patches lately. The Timberwolves might be down, but I've got a feeling they're not out. If they can bring their defensive intensity and get just enough offense from the supporting cast, this one could go down to the wire. As much as Dallas has been rolling, I'm leaning toward Minnesota to cover that 6-point spread. Call it a gut feeling, but the Wolves have the tools to keep this close. And hey, don't roll out a Christmas miracle. Antes de continuar, me gustaría pedirte un pequeño favor. Si te está gustando este contenido, tómate un momento para darle like al video y suscribirte al canal. Aunque no lo creas, suscribirte a nuestro canal marca una gran diferencia para nosotros y lo mejor de todo, no te cuesta nada. ¿Ya hiciste clic en el botón de suscribirse? Genial, muchas gracias por tu apoyo. Ahora, volvamos al video. The third prediction for today is for a game between the Philadelphia 76ers and Boston Celtics. The Sixers and Celtics are gearing up for an epic Christmas Day showdown, and I've got a feeling this one's going to be a nail-biter. Boston, sitting pretty at 22-7, has been a juggernaut this season, with Jason Tatum leading the charge. The guy's putting up MVP level numbers, nearly 29 points, over 9 boards, and close to 6 times a game. But here's the kicker. Tatum's health is a question mark after missing their last game against Orlando. If he's not suiting up, that's a massive shift in this matchup. The Celtics didn't exactly inspire confidence against the Magic. They blew an 18-point lead and barely scraped together 13 assists, which is way off their usual pace. Sure, Jaylen Brown went off for 35, and Derek White played his heart out, but when your superstar is out, it changes the whole dynamic. Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford need to shoulder more of the load, but let's be real, Horford's not built to play heavy minutes at this stage in his career, and Porzingis has always been a little fragile. Now, the Sixers, they're a wild card. Sitting at 10-17, they've had their struggles, but the vibes are different lately. Joel Embiid might have only played 11 minutes in their win over the Spurs, but his presence changes everything. He's the anchor, plain and simple. Tyrese Maxey stepped up huge in that game with 32 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. Talk about carrying the squad. And don't sleep on the little things guys like Gershon Yubusel bring. He's making the leap from the EuroLeague to the NBA look seamless, filling in the gaps on both ends of the floor. Philly's biggest issue has been consistency. They've had a tough time stringing together a full 48 minutes, which won't cut it against Boston, especially in the Garden. But momentum's a funny thing, and the Sixers have it right now. Winning 5 of their last 7 has to boost their confidence. With Embiid fresh, thanks to those limited minutes recently, I think they've got a shot to make this one interesting. Boston's still the team to beat, but let's not ignore their struggles against the spread. They're 6-11 against the spread in their last 17 games as big favorites, and it's not like Philly doesn't have the talent to hang with them. If Embiid is locked in and Maxey keeps playing out of his mind, the Sixers could easily keep this one close. My gut tells me Boston will pull out the win. It's tough to bet against them at home, especially on Christmas, but I like Philly to cover the spread. This one has all the makings of a backdoor cover. The Celtics might build a lead, but the Sixers have enough firepower to chip away late and make things interesting. And let's not forget about the total. With both teams playing top 10 defense, the under at 221.5 feels like a smart move. The Celtics have been a money machine for the under lately, and with Tatum possibly not at 100%, the scoring could take a hit. All in all, this game's got drama written all over it, and I'm here for it. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the Los Angeles Lakers and Golden State Warriors. All right, let's break this one down. The Lakers and Warriors on Christmas Day, it doesn't get much better than that. These are two teams we've come to expect on the big stage, but they're bringing different vibes into this matchup. The Lakers are fresh off a nail-biter against the Pistons, a 117-114 loss, but they've been grinding defensively over their last stretch. They've held teams to just 103.5 points per game during this run, keeping opponents shooting at a chilly 43.4% from the field and an even frostier 30.5% from deep. That kind of defense wins games, especially when your offense hasn't exactly been setting the world on fire. Speaking of offense, the Lakers have been a bit stuck in the mud. They're averaging just 105 points per game over their last 10 contests, and their shooting splits 45.2% from the field and a rough 32.2% from beyond the arc tell you all you need to know. LeBron and AD are doing their thing, but it feels like they're begging for someone else to step up. That supporting cast has to bring it because Golden State, even in their current funk, isn't a team you can coast against. Now, the Warriors, they're a bit of a puzzle right now. They've dropped 4 of their last 5, including a tough one against the Pacers, and they're struggling to find their rhythm offensively. Over that stretch, they're putting up just 106.8 points a night while shooting 43.4% from the floor. Even their free throws are clinking. They're under 70% at the stripe, which is wild for a team with shooters like Steph. When the Warriors fail to crack 110 points, they're just 2-9. That's a stat that screams trouble, especially if the Lakers keep locking down on D. On paper, the Warriors are healthy, with Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins all good to go. Steph is obviously the engine, leading the team with 6.6 assists per game and piling up points, but they're still figuring out how to balance the backcourt. Draymond brings that glue guy energy, but he's not a scorer, and Wiggins has been inconsistent. If Steph doesn't have at least one of these guys stepping up alongside him, it could be a long night. The key to this game might be in the paint. The Lakers have the clear size advantage, and Anthony Davis could feast. The guy's been a monster, 7th in the league in scoring, 5th in rebounding, and if Golden State runs out their usual small ball lineup with Draymond and Tracy Jackson-Davis, they're asking for trouble. Kevin Looney could help defensively, but his offensive limitations could throw a wrench in the Warriors' flow. Meanwhile, LeBron, even at 39, is still built for moments like this. He's been vocal lately about the over-reliance on threes in today's game, and you just know he'll try to put on a show on this massive stage. LeBron on Christmas is almost automatic. In 18 career games, he's averaged 26.4 points, and he's hit the over on 22 points in 3 of his last 5 Christmas outings. He's been heating up lately too, dropping at least 28 in his last 2 games. With Golden State's defense sliding, their 27th in defensive rating over the past 5 games, this feels like another opportunity for LeBron to remind everyone why he's still the king. If you're betting, I'd lean toward the Lakers covering the spread, but my money's on LeBron to score over 22 points. He thrives under the bright lights, and there's something about a primetime showdown with Steph Curry that brings out the best in him. This could be one of those vintage LeBron games where he controls the tempo, dominates in transition, and maybe even flirts with a triple-double. It's not just about the points, it's about making a statement. For a guy like LeBron, on a stage like this, I wouldn't bet against him. The 5th prediction for today is for a game between the Denver Nuggets and Phoenix Suns. Man, I've got to say, the Denver Nuggets are looking like a well-oiled machine right now, and after what they did to the Suns earlier this week, I'm feeling good about them taking care of business again. That 117-90 blowout wasn't just a win, it was a flex. Jokic was doing Jokic things, and Phoenix? They look like a team still trying to figure it out. Denver's hitting their stride, no doubt about it. They've won 5 of their last 6 games, and it's all clicking for them. Jokic is playing out of his mind, 30.9 points, 12.5 boards, almost 10 dimes a game, and he's doing it with ridiculous efficiency. The dude's basketball IQ is off the charts. Against Phoenix, he had them on a string, dropping 32 points on 12 of 17 shooting and dishing out dimes like it was a pickup game. When he's in that kind of rhythm, the Nuggets are tough to beat. Now, let's talk about Phoenix. It's been rough. Their defense has been MIA lately, and it showed big time in that last game. Over the past few weeks, they've been giving up 122.3 points per 100 possessions, and teams are lighting them up from deep. Opponents are hitting almost 16 threes a game against them, shooting over 40%. That's just not going to cut it, especially when you're up against a team that moves the ball like Denver does. Even without being a 3-point heavy squad, the Nuggets splashed 16 triples last time out, and most of them were wide open. That's just bad scouting and worse execution. And here's the kicker, Devin Booker's status is still up in the air. Without Book, the Suns are a different team. Sure, Durant and Beal can get buckets, but they can't do it all. In the last game, they combined for 46 points, which sounds solid until you realize nobody else showed up. If Booker doesn't play, I don't see how the Suns keep pace, even at home. Phoenix usually finds a way to play better on their home floor, but let's be real, this team has been hard to trust all season. They've dropped 3 straight, haven't covered the spread in their last 4, and they're a woeful 9-19 ATS this season. It feels like every time you think they're getting healthy, someone else ends up on the injury report. It's like they can't catch a break. Kevin Durant is obviously still a problem for any defense, but even if he goes off, it might not be enough. The Nuggets are too deep, too disciplined, and too consistent right now. Plus, let's not forget Jamal Murray didn't even play in that last game. If he's back, it's just another weapon Phoenix has to worry about. At the end of the day, I've got to roll with Denver. They've got the best player on the floor in Jokic, they're playing better basketball, and they've got the kind of chemistry that makes them a nightmare to defend. Unless Booker makes a surprise return and plays out of his mind, I can't see Phoenix pulling this one out. The Nuggets are just on another level right now,